welcome to Musings, Rants, and Guitars for April 12th? April? No. April 18th.
What's today?
Wow. April 18th. I should have known my daughter's birthday was just the other day. April 18th, 2021? 2021. And we are going to do a live gear review. We've done a few of these, and we do have some people asking questions, that's the whole idea here. Come on in and ask some questions. And this week we are talking about the Line 6 HX Stomp.
Which
now,
is
a lot of
a motherfucker.
Yeah, it does a lot of shit, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, it's I went for this, and hey everybody, hey Lenny, hey Joey,
how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you guys. So there were some challenges with deciding what to do. Other than being a gearhead, I also I play live, and as does Joey and stuff. And I have a big board which Joey can put up if you got the picture, but
yeah.
It covers everything. So you get chorus and everything, but it's 50 pounds, and it's great, and I'll probably continue using it till I get a little more comfortable with the Stomp. But I think it's going to start to probably be something that I will use more. I mean, it works great as an interface here, and I'll show you that in a second. Because I have it just going right into the stream. If I do, and if I turn off the mic, you'll just hear that and not the guitar too. So hold on.
Yeah.
So it does that. See, that's my starting point in here for my tone. So I'm going to cut over. Joe, you want me to just go right to it, man? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I was actually let's talk real quick about so this does so much, right? This not only does just effects, it can act as an amplifier basically, although not an amplifier. It kind of gives you that the modeling sense of the amplifiers, right?
Yeah, so it can do full modeling of so many different amps. I printed out the book because I'm a print guy, but it's the wrong book. But it goes through all the different amps. It goes through, from vintage Fender, through Vox, through, the newer high gain stuff, the Diesels, the Soldanos, the Uberschall. I mean, it just does all that stuff. So you have a whole litany of stuff as far as what it can do with amplifiers. And then, if you've ever had, let's start basic, right?
Yeah.
If you've ever had a Line 6 pod, right, the kidney bean, which we joke about here all the time, I just retired it. I've used it for years here in the studio, and anytime I played, you pretty much heard that for the most part. There were a couple of times I did use an amp, but it's still. I don't have great isolation. It's loud in here. I have it in a closet with some blankets and everything, but it's still, I don't have a huge space, and I also don't want to kill everybody in the family. I mean, with music. So nice
save.
Right. Yeah, almost. So I immediately. The first thing I did was take it and program in the sound that I had in the kidney bean into this, just to make it match my normal JCM 800 sound. My 800 sound is pretty beefy. It's between that and a Jubilee, which I kind of I use a lot too. So I interchange those two sounds, and that's somewhere approximation of the two. Now, my 800 had the one tiny thing tweaked on it, but it is a one channel 800. So it's not a lot of bells and whistles. There's no effects loop. It's a great in your face amp. If you have the right sound man who can give you a little boost for things, if it's not boosting enough with pedals, it works great. The the Jubilee works great because it's got also the effects loop where I can throw a boost in there, which Joey helped me out with just to make sure that I knew what I was doing without blowing up stuff. So part of the reason why I went with why I'm looking and using the HX system is because it has a loop, and it's
Right.
got a loop, so you can do a 4K. Yep.
Yeah, we have a quick question from Brent Hertz. Does it output to cabinets? And I'm going to assume it does not have a built-in amplifier, so you do
It
need
does
to.
not have an amplifier. You would need a powered amp,
Yeah,
powered speaker, and there are some great ones out there, and I've seen demos with that too.
right. They
I'm
have
not
those
going to do that. Uh,
FRs, the
yeah,
full range, right?
yeah, the
And for
full range
fun,
stuff.
another
Yeah,
good thing is like one of those small little pedal amps. You could use this too,
oh, absolutely, and
right?
I'll show you on. I'm using the pedal train nano board for this because
Yeah.
I'm going to use this. I have also, and I'll show you, I have two other switches. I have Mission, um, whatever their name is,
Yeah.
Mission
Mission.
Engineering,
Yeah.
right? They're two button pedal that actually works as so. The Stomp has three buttons, and this adds it two more. So I
Hmm.
have an extension of five now. Someone said if I've watched lots of reviews, and if you got a four pedal, which they make, why not just get the next level up of the
Right.
HX because that already has the pedals, and I don't know what that
Yeah.
model's called, but you could do that. Again, I was trying to keep it compact on the board and see if I can make this work. Also,
Right.
what I did. So I'm also going to power it because it is a power sucker. It is actually rated, God help us, at 3 amps, right?
Yeah, I see that.
Power draw.
I'm showing the back of it of
Sure.
the device now, so you can see the DC in is 9 volts DC 3 amps. So it does take a lot of power for basically a pedal unit.
Right. Now, what I did was watched a few of the videos, and Rhett Schull, who we love and hate, uh,
Yes.
chose this. Now, this one you can double up, right, and get it up to just about 1.5 amps, and that is, it will never take the 3 amps and won't even take the 1.5. Also, this model has a little LEDs on it to show
Hmm.
you what power draw it is. Also, you'll notice it's tiny. This fits into the space on the nano board underneath.
Right.
So I will just, it's a regular AC plug, the standard that we,
Yeah.
Joey and
Yeah.
I have
IEC
thousands of.
plug. Yeah.
If you want to buy any, we have
Yep.
a
I
thousand
have
of them.
thousands.
Thousands of them.
I think we can even stamp MRG on them for you.
We can. I have a soldering iron, or I'll just
Yeah.
make the kids do it and make them breathe in that plastic. But yeah, so you double this up, right?
Yep.
Two of the 9 volts that are running at 600 milliamps. It'll give you
Yeah.
1200, 1.2 amps, more than enough power to control this. And then there's actually 5 more after that you can power other stuff on the board. So I'll have, not on the board, but next to it I'll have the wah, because I always like to have the wah there. And then I have 2 drive pedals, and I'll show you those in a second, which ones I'm using. And the
Mhm.
reason why I'm using those 2 is there's a specific reason, and I'll talk about that in a sec. So this is right now. Most of the sounds you're going to hear are the direct sounds going into my mixer, and the mixer going into my Scarlett, right? Interface.
Yeah, your interface for that you're using for the show.
Yeah, that I'm using for the show. So I have the microphone on one channel and the mixer going into the other. It's a weird setup. I'll tweak more later. But anyway, so that's what's going on with that. It's stereo. It's
Yeah.
full stereo.
I'll put on the back on again. So if you look at the back, right? Probably I have the visual of it on the
Yeah, I
back
see
up
it.
there. So we have inputs. You have a left, which is mono. That's generally what we're using anyway as guitar
Yep.
players. And then you have the output, left mono, and then I guess double. So you could go out stereo, correct?
Sure, you
Yeah.
could, and it'll do full pans,
Yeah.
right? So all your stereo effects would work.
Are those non-stick or are they?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I know. Those nonstick pans are always kind of tricky, but
You know what it is? I like a nice cast iron because those hurt the most when you hit somebody with them.
yeah,
Um,
fucking
damn you.
dicks.
So anyway, there's also you'll see the USB on the back. Everything is
Yeah.
fully can be fully programmed on the interface. All right,
Okay.
instead of me sitting here tweaking like I did, but some of the things the reason why I did this manually right now is because I was really just trying to get some of the basic sounds that I wanted to use. Like I started I ran through the gamut of all the stuff it does, and there's really cool stuff because sometimes you don't have anything to do except for play with it. But so
Right.
initially, if I swing, let me just where were we? I'm going to go to like the beginning here. So I'm going to tweak this. In fact, I'm going to cut over to the mic. I mean to
Okay.
the camera
Yeah, yeah. You got it.
and play with some stuff. But I'm going to start with the very first patch that they have in here, which is a stereo swirl. So I'm going to cut over to the camera. So just give me a
Okay.
second. And let's see if we can see it. There it
There
is.
we go.
It's not great, but this is the things will get better.
Yeah.
So right now, this is just the very first patch that comes in stock.
Okay.
Let's get it to you. So it's kind of like a reverby vibrato thing. So it does all of that, and again, these aren't tweaked. I actually really hopped up the channels that I made.
Right.
So, but anyway, if you take a look at this here, I wish I had done a little bit better job than this. But let's see if I can
Yeah, you
tweak.
can kind of see the.
Let me see if I can kind of get that to do something I'd like it to do. Give me 1 second here. Do 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 do. Talk amongst yourselves for a sec.
Yeah, so Line 6 has been around for a while. They're
Oh
real
yeah,
popular with the pods. They make some
yeah.
great equipment.
So a couple of the standards, the DL4, their
Yep.
floor 3 channel tweaked delay, right? And that has
Yep.
been on people's pedal boards forever. It's heavy. Um, there were some versions that weren't terribly reliable. I have one. I think I probably have one of the first ones, and it's been very, very reliable and been great. That's the reason why I kind of stayed with the Helix slash
Mm-hmm.
Line 6 is because I knew that they were pretty invested in this. And reading their documentation from the older stuff, it looks like they spent time really doing the research and getting the pedals and getting the cabinets and doing the IRs and making it all work very well. So uh, let's let's just I'm going to go from here, and it's just this top, just to scroll through up to where my stuff is.
Right.
But
That's
this
your
one,
different patches there, right? You just
yeah.
scroll
So
through them.
these are all your different patterns. Like this one is like Eric Johnson Dover, right? So
Okay.
that's probably that sort of Eric Johnson-y thing, which is kind of neat. But again, I think my patches that I made are really loud, which is interesting. His like Jeff Beck, because we ended as lovers, right? So that anyway, not a practice for that. But anyway, so that's some of the stuff that's in there. So they based it on that. I think that they have things that are based upon songs, and then they have things that are based upon like their their take on things, and um, a few kind of neat things. Like this one's called Brown Sugar. I can only imagine it's like so that kind of Keithy feel, even though
Yeah.
it's
Right. Right.
not that. But anyway, so it's pretty neat. So then I took some of something that I needed, right, and I found the first empty patch and went all the way up here, and let's see, we'll get there. So first, what I did was the TAC, which is me, TAC 800 tone. So this is my basic 800. It also has a built-in OCD version,
Okay.
which is
Yeah.
probably version 2. So I have that on here. An analog delay, which is my thing with the mod, which I like, a little bit of the delay. So that's the basic sound that I do and will do for the most part when I'm here practicing or doing whatever I do, day to day. So it's like so that's cool. And then I can turn off things, right? So I can turn off the delay. So just strike. I can turn off the OCD. But I can also turn on an OCD, which I have in line here too. And that's an OCD 2.1, which I have going in as just a regular effect into it. So if it's with the amp, same idea. So I have that.
Very nice.
And also what I put in here was the plumes, which I'm really a big fan of right now, which I have set to the tube screamer sound because I've found two things. First off, the JCM 800 likes the OCDs. The Jubilee likes a tube screamer. It likes that little mid boop bump that the tube screamer does. So I can play with that. So if I get that. So that's with the plumes. Now the plumes can do like an almost OCD on this other setting where it's so that's kind of neat. But again, first pass, if I'm just plugging in the unit itself, I'll just use the built-in OCD and just do that. Now the next thing I did was make a little bit of even a heavier tone, like almost a rectifier.
Okay.
Right, so it's actually named rectifier, so it's a little bit heavier. So it gives you a little bit more of that. And then like the rhythm. It's also a little tighter sounding, right? The JCM gives you a little bit looser feel to it, which is neat. So I did a couple of those. I think maybe I have a third one. No, and then after that, I started just doing what would be going into an amp. So you're not going to really hear that great stuff, but so this is kind of straight in. Right. So that's unity. That's pretty much unity coming out of this thing. With a delay. And also there's I threw in the clon sort of thing. Gives you a little bit of dirt. So it's kind of that would
so
be.
You would put that patch like in the front end of an amp, right?
That would go front end of the amp.
Right.
Then,
rather than in a loop.
Now, with the loop, what I've done is create. Let's see, where did I put this one? There we go. So this is the 4-channel or the 4-cable method clean start. So this is just a regular clean with the loop. Yeah. Now I don't have that set up right now as anything. I just have the cable going out from the send and back into the return. So I just have a
Yeah.
loop in there. It doesn't work without that when you're doing the 4 cable method. It has to see the cable,
Right.
which is fine. So that's the next thing that's going to be worked on. Again, anything can be added. Now, I'm not sure how great you can see this, but if you go to this particular view, and I'm going to pick it up so you guys can see a little bit. So I'm going to use two hands. So tell me, can you read the display there?
Yeah, a little bit. It's a little blurry.
Yeah, it's a little bright for the camera.
Yeah.
But you know what you do then at that point is you can start to scroll through and see where your different blocks are. Now, blocks are what are called the location, right? You see that
Yep.
little
I think
those
see
are
it moving on
blocks,
top.
right? Those are blocks, and what blocks are is where you put effects pedals or
Hmm.
cabinets or amplifiers or impulse
Right. So
responses.
you can switch the order of like say an
Absolutely, you can
effects.
do any order here. In fact, you can even place the pedal here. So if I do this, um, so Kinky Boost is the EP boost. Uh, the Minotaur, of course, we talked about. That's pretty much the Klon.
Yeah.
Uh, Compulsive Drive, which is my thing. There's a whole bunch of the different drives. The Screamer, right? So you throw in here, and they give you. There's not. Anyway, but it'll give you an idea. But this is still very clean going into the amp itself, right? Where you can tweak all of these. And actually, I have it set up, and I'm going to bring up the camera a little bit. So I have it set up with the OCD here and the plumes,
I see.
right? So I can switch between either one for the boost. And then what I do, depending upon the amp, I can add a little extra gain from here instead of having like a distortion pedal in addition to it.
Right.
And next to those two, of course, I have the 2 button pedal here, which allows me to add 2 more pedals or 2 more stomps to the HX stomp, which is really great. So then
Right.
again, got volume and everything else you could do. Now I've watched lots and lots of videos over the past few weeks, um, looking at this, and there's a lot of people who are using it, and a lot of opinions about what the best thing to do is as far as changing gain structure, input, and um, configuration. So one of the things that I did learn was actually changing the input from automatic to 230 hertz, or
Okay.
one, instead of and that I found to be really useful because then it's consistent and it's not trying to uh, queue up something automatically. You know how digital will try and, as you know, it'll try and negotiate, right?
Yeah.
And if it's negotiating, it means it's taking processing time from doing other things, and that can actually add to latency. So anything you can program in here that will be automated, right? Any of the EQs and everything, you don't want it just to be um, doing it on its own. You just want it to be there and fixed. So again, this can be used as a straight up full on effects pedal. I originally had years ago, when the ME5, the Boss, their first, you know, pedal board came out. I had that, and I've always found these things to be really, really useful. I do love the big pedal board. I love having everything there and everything tweaked and be able to touch it.
Right.
The only challenge, or I think the real drive for originally the big pedal board was the fact that I needed to use a talk box, and I think the talk box is a tone stealer, right? So you put
Right.
that in line with your other pedals, it's gonna just suck tone. So I got the big board, got a loop, switcher, and that thing goes in and out. But then I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna put everything. So everything was in a loop, and anytime I needed to bring it in, I brought it in. And if I wasn't using it, the signal was going directly into um, the amplifier. The only thing that it was ever touching first was the wah pedal. So
Right.
the wah I was using as my first thing because I don't like to have that in a loop because that's 2 buttons to press, right?
Yeah.
So anything where you have to press 2 buttons, it's too much. So, and from there, everything just it worked, but it's 50 pounds, and
Yeah.
sometimes you want to get in and out of a stage pretty quickly. So with the 4 cable method going into the Jubilee, this would work really well because it can do any of your boosts, and I'm going to put the EP boost like I do right now into the effects loop, and it's going to be part of the 4 cable method.
Right.
Um, the two drives I have, once again, I really like the Plumes version of the Tube Screamer. I think that works great, and it's reliable, and that works great with the Jubilee. And then I can switch over to the OCD, which the Marshall likes.
Right.
Um, I know I'm monologuing.
All right. So let's tell you what. I'm going to bring up. Let's talk real quick about the 4 cable method, right?
Yeah.
So and what that does. So I'm going to bring up the picture of the back end of this. So you would use this basically like a stomp box, right?
Right.
Guitar goes into the input, which you have up here, which would be mono,
Right.
and then the output goes to the amplifier, the front of the amplifier.
Correct. So I'm not using stereo. I'm not using any stereo effects.
Right. And
I
then
could, but
you also have the effects send on this.
correct, which is foot switchable.
Yes, I'm going to
Right.
put that up
So
because that's on the right side of the device.
correct, and
Yep.
there. This gives you the opportunity of this. So traditionally you would run things like your delay and reverb through your effects loop,
Yeah.
and that's just another step of setup. I don't do that. Normally what I use is the MXR delay. What is that
The
thing
carbon
called?
copy,
Carbon
the
copy.
little green one,
The little green one, and
little green one.
I use that, and that
Brain
was
fart.
designed. And you can ask the folks at MXR. It was designed to go in front of the amp. That
Yeah.
was not really designed to go in an effects loop. Most of that stuff that's stomped like that. Now, if I were to go with like a Strymon or Eventide, a delay like that, it would be MIDI or reverb, any of their reverbs. I would put those definitely through the effects loop, and
Right.
and and I would try and keep them maybe on the amp or as close to the amp, and just run MIDI from the front of the whatever device I'm using to control those, instead of having them all run out to the front of house like I do now. So with my EP boost, I have two George L cables tie wrapped together, going back and forth, and those. As long as you don't step on them, they're really, really great sounding cables. If you step on them, you can hear it. So you got to make sure that you tape everything up really nicely. But so with this, it can be the same thing. So I don't have to put an EP boost on my board. I can take that pedal, that stomp, the EP boost, and configure it as part of the 4 cable loop system. So it would go in there as whenever I turn on the 4 channel, or excuse me, the 4 cable, the loop channel, it would be in there and give me the boost. And I think that was one of the other things that turned me on about doing this. Is first off, it had that pedal in there.
Right.
It's got a little bit of tone to it. It changes things just a little, but I like that because in my brain, back when I started, I used an Echoplex, and that sound, and Eddie Van Halen used an Echoplex, and that was part of like that tone. So in my brain, I think that somehow this EP boost gives me a little bit of that kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
I really, every time I do a delay that has like the Echoplex, modeling, I always try and use that first to see if it's really cool and everything, because as cool as the Echoplex is, it was always a pain in the ass, and it really had to be maintained. Like people don't really, kids today, they don't know. Like they don't know what it is to clean a tape head, to degauss a tape head, and you had to do
As a
that with the
delay.
EP. Right,
As a
as a
delay pedal.
delay, right? So then way halfway through the show, all of a sudden you see tape,
Yeah.
flying out of the top of the EP, the Echoplex, because it broke, and then you were done. Then you had no more delay, and I think that's really what drove like Ibanez and everybody to make these pedals for delay, because it's just the Echoplex, as great as they sound, were you took a chance. In
Absolutely.
fact, Full Tone makes new ones of them, really good copies, and you see Rich Robinson uses them, but he has two. He's got a backup for that
There's a
too.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Absolutely.
reason for that, and they're great. But I mean, look, this is great. I mean, a real Plexi is a great amp, and but it can break, and that's maybe the other thing is these are roadworthy, right? So people are just concerned about what they take on the road and what can take it now. I will tell you this: my JCM 800 was I've had it in the back of a pickup truck and skidded to a stop, and it slid and hit the back of it, and still worked that night for the gig. I mean, it pretty much felt like somebody rear-ended me when that thing hit it. But again,
Absolutely.
those things are beasts. It's but then there's other things that are far more delicate. So I'm looking forward to really diving into this. And again, I got it because it had a lot of the features, and I saw a lot of different people using
Yeah.
this in smaller fly gigs, right? And I think that I want to try and start to do things that are going to make things simpler for me. Um, depending upon the gig. Like if I don't know, I'm a geek too, so the big board is great fun, right? I mean, people like, oh, look at all that, and you even look at it and go, wow, I love this. But again, you
Yeah.
still
I
have to
know.
be practical.
Yeah. I know. And even my big board now is pared down to what it is, and then
Yeah.
I like last week at practice, I just got sick of all the pedals. I just took my cable out, just went straight into the front of the amp and said, "Fuck this! I don't want to do anything." I don't. I'm tired of all the pedals. So you do a couple songs like that, and like, well, now I need my echo. So
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I don't know. It's something about, I don't know. I've listened to so many live records, and I just loved, at the end of every song, it was always like, with the
yeah,
echo trail.
yeah,
And
the trail.
I
Yeah,
just, it's just another one of those things that I feel is a safety blanket.
yep,
It's just, I feel better if I'm just kind of, it's not even like I'm using it for anything. Like, I'm not going, doubling anything. All I'm doing is
right,
trails
yeah,
because it makes me feel better.
yeah, yeah. So I
I'm
see
not
this
playing any better.
also. I popped up the other side, and I see this MIDI in and out, which is really handy. If you got something that's
What does
this
that
size,
mean, MIDI?
yeah. I know because I have quite a bit of MIDI stuff, and I've used a lot of MIDI stuff going way back when MIDI was first available. I know that my old the 6100 I had MIDI switching.
Yeah.
That's a Marshall. It's a Marshall Anniversary Series, and that had MIDI switching, and I didn't have the pedal for that amp, so I ended up using a MIDI switcher for it. So that's a nice thing to use too. And I see there's also a headphone out, so you don't have to actually destroy your family. You could actually plug a headphone into it and sit in
Well,
your
the thing
living
is,
room and
the
play, right?
good thing about that, right, is this can, depending, it can go in my bag,
Right.
and so I, I was I was warming up at the gig the other night, and there wasn't really a backstage, but there was like a side of the stage over in the corner, and I'm just sitting there, playing, like warming up, but I wasn't really hearing what I was doing. I was just moving my fingers around to get them warmed up. Something like this would be really useful. Now, I do have one of those New X um, little amplifiers, which is a great headphone amp, and has lots of things, and I might start doing that depending upon the gig. But this has that. So if I'm going to, a fly gig and I'm going back to my hotel room for the night, I can just plug in the headphones in this and work out whatever I need to do. the USB interface into my laptop and work on any recordings, using the Reaper, and it gives you full DAWs. So,
Right.
integration. So it's great for that. Then, that's the opportunity to use the stereo effects too, right? Is when you're doing any of the recording right into your desktop or laptop. And it's great. I know this is a really dry show, people, today. Should I say penis?
Very, very
Does that help?
technical. Very technical.
But it's it's an amazing world we live in right now as far as some of this equipment, because I used the kidney in here for years. In fact,
Yeah.
I've recorded stuff with it. But if I'm recording something that's really going to be recorded, I've always used the amp and mic'd it up and just put it on headphones, and so there wasn't any bleed. But I think this is going to be an interesting tool. I don't want to get away from tube amps. I really don't. That's I'm not a purist, but I like the sound. I like the way it feels. I like the way it reacts. This is close. I don't think it's, there's still a little bit of the digital sizzle. It's not, it's okay turning it down. If it's okay it's great to get a great clean sound too, if I want to do that, because again, I don't have the amps for, I don't have a Fender.
Right.
I don't have anything, a matchless, which, this has a matchless, thing.
Yeah. And that does take impulse responses, you said, right?
Yep, I can load
So,
impulse responses. You can trade if anybody wants.
So there are all types of different things you do with impulse responses, including putting like an acoustic impulse response in there. So
Yeah,
you can make your
this does
electric
have
sound like an acoustic.
here. Here's let's see. Here's an acoustic songwriter. See how this one. Let me just turn off the mic.
Well, you're not gonna fool anybody with that one, but
all right. Well,
but I mean,
it's mostly me.
I'll send you one of those impulse responses I got from 3 Sigma Audio, who makes really good impulse responses for acoustic.
Yeah, let's see if I can get anything closer. Studio. Nah, we ain't getting anywhere with that.
Yeah. It's not bad, but you know what? I've found that even with any of the acoustic impulse responses, they really need a piezo pickup.
Yeah, I don't know. Here, let me try this other patch they have.
Yeah.
How's that one? Is that one better?
That one sounds a little better, a little more like an acoustic. All right. So, but the overall, obviously, you got to keep using this. So
yeah, I got to keep. So I'm gonna go and download some of the other users' IRs.
Yeah, that's a nice thing. I know they a lot of people use Line 6 stuff. A lot of people custom make the patches and things. So there's a lot of resources out there for it.
And this is the one, from everything I've heard, is on everybody on Nashville's board. This device. Yeah. I mean, they have all their other stuff, but they're also move this cable around. This is the one that's on their board. It doesn't take up a lot of space. It's the size of 2 pedals.
Yeah.
Right. So even with the 2-button, and again, this does a tuner too. I don't know if I can. And I have it set to here. Let me just swing over the camera again. Again, so this takes up one less spot, right? Oop, hold on. One less spot by, being a strobe tuner.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's good.
So it's one less spot on your board that it has to take. I knew the G was out.
Yeah. Well, it had to be. It was a Gibson.
Yeah, it comes like that.
Yeah.
So that, and you go right back, tap tempo, right?
Yeah.
And the whole thing. And again, it's going to take me a few. Uh, some of the YouTubers and stuff and the guys have time to do this all the time, right? And
Yeah.
spend 4 or 5 hours. I've had it for a couple of days, a week. Hold on, my bad. Hang on. So I've had it for a week. I didn't really put any pressure on myself to do anything other than take it out of the box and see the different configurations and do stuff, and then put a little pressure on myself today to go through a few patches.
Right.
And they're really easy to do. And believe me, there's tons of resources on YouTube, right, for this, including Line 6, who has a whole bunch of videos. But any of your favorite guys like Rhett, Pete, Pete Thorne, any of those guys will have you can find them doing this and using this device. Again,
yeah, a lot of them have. They'll. I don't know if they're giving or they're selling. They have a lot of patches on their own site.
There are a lot of patches. I think that a lot of them, the guys like have Patreon pages where you would download some of this stuff. I mean, I think usually when they do an intro or something like that, sometimes they'll throw in a couple that you can grab, but then other ones you pay for. But I mean, you're supporting people who are doing that sort of work on YouTube. Right. But it's great. It's good fun. I'm having fun with it. I think that it's going to be a really great tool,
right,
for me once I have it going. But
all right. So let me ask Lenny, from the end user, like when you hear it, what do you think? How do you think it sounds like?
I think it sounds incredible and very versatile.
Me and Tommy are obviously the really geeky end of the guitar spectrum, where I know as the guitar player, you are more of the, I just want to plug into my amp and play type guy.
Well, yeah, but this adds like color and variety to whatever tone you're trying to chase.
Yeah.
And I just think it's incredible because it's compact and, like Tommy had said earlier, rather than take like your expensive like Plexi or Echo Plexes out on the road and take a chance on losing them or having them go down, you can kind of achieve the same effect through one of these things.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a marvel on how the technology came and you can get all those great tones and effects in a board. I think that's amazing. And I think it's really helpful for especially the touring musician.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of guys, they add a lot of colors to their tone, and this just makes it a lot easier.
And
right.
And then these are not huge expenses, right? This one,
the best part,
is
it's affordable. Yeah, because musicians don't have money.
No,
it's not cheap. It's not cheap by any means.
But it's not $2,000, right?
It's an investment, for achieving your goals as far as finding the right tone and effects that suit your style, whatever it is you're trying to do.
And it can be dialed in pretty quickly,
depending
upon where you are and what you need to do.
Right. All right. Good. All right. So we'll cut the gear review now, and then we'll bring on our usual Sunday show. How about that? All right. So now we can do our chat. So gear review is over, and I'll bring just us up. So there we go. So
how are ya?
How you guys doing?
That's total geekdom we just did.
Yeah. So we do have some stuff coming up. I'm going to talk about that real quick. We have next week, we're going to do a product spotlight with Wilson Effects. He is a small boutique effects maker. We were going to do a review for one of his pedals. It's called the Haze. The Haze is a vibe / chorus pedal. I have it,
which is
here.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's one of the best vibes. The vibe sound is that Robin Trower Bridge of Sighs sound, right?
Incredible.
Really, it's a great sound for guitar. I've always loved it, and I never use it live. Now, this is my second Haze. I had the other one, and I loved it. It was the older purple one. and I loved it. I used it live like once or twice, and I just had it on my board for a long time, and I was never playing anything that I really wanted it in. Though now being in an original band for a couple of years, I can probably find a nice spot for it. So I had at one point sold the other one because I needed to buy crack or cocaine or a hooker.
That's fine. Or bury a hooker. You need
it was. I needed. I had to pay the grave robber or something. I don't know. I had to buy it for something. So I did get another one just recently, and we were going to do an unboxing and the whole review. And then I got hold of Kevin Wilson of Wilson Effects, and I said, "Hey, why don't you come on the show?" And this way, we're not just talking about one of his effects. We're going to have him demo a few of them, and it's better off hearing it from the manufacturer themselves. They can tell you a little bit about the pedal and what they got the inspiration from. I can say that the Wilson Vibe is probably the best sounding Vibe at up to a certain price point. I mean, they have some that go way higher. But
there are complete Univibe clones.
Yeah.
And some great ones. In fact, but.
Yeah, there's a price point that I'm stuck at,
Yeah, there's a price point there that you're stuck at, and also use, right? Would I like a real Univibe? Yeah. Would I like a full tone? Sure. And there's a whole bunch of other manufacturers that make full on, ones with expression pedals and just full control of it.
This one has the expression input.
Yeah. See.
So it's an option. I got the expression pedal too, so I'll hook up the whole thing.
That'd be great. Because, again, that sound is iconic, and again, doing an original project to have that palette is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And
then I think about it is like, well, if I use in the original project and then I got to add that to the board.
Yeah.
Because I try to keep my board small, but you add something like that, it's like there's no replicating a really good vibe like that. So
no, man, and it is an iconic sound, from Hendrix to Trower, a slew of other people who have just thrown this in there.
Yeah,
Jimmy Page,
absolutely.
It's great, and I love it. When I hear like that fuzz face into a Univibe, that just gets me excited too. Because I am, but I love that.
Yeah, and then we have Delacoma Rio coming on too, right, Lenny?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were trying to set it up, and I'm talking to Kevin Wilson from Wilson Effects, set up a date, and Lenny's talking to Del, and we kind of got a couple of things squashed up. So either we're doing 2 shows in one night, or we're going to try to spread it around a little bit. So we'll figure it out. Del is in Australia, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So a nice guy.
Just came out with a new record, and he's raring to go, hitting the road.
And a matter of fact, we had one of his, right? Jason was playing with him when we saw him, right?
Yeah, Jason Todd.
Yeah.
I believe.
And, we've had Jason on this show.
I believe on the record it's Tracy Guns from LA Guns, I believe.
LA Guns, okay.
That's something we're going to have to ask him.
Yeah, Tracy's been very busy, hasn't he? He's been doing
Tracy's been busy, man. I've been watching him. He's one of those guys who keeps getting better and better too. I mean, he was all. I don't think in LA Guns you really saw what a really great guitar player Tracy is.
Mm-hmm.
He could cover. He can cover Randy all the way through. Anybody. And lately he's been showing that he has absolutely great finesse, a great personality on social media too. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Delacoma stuff so much.
Yeah.
And,
he's great. Great frontman, great storyteller, just, a lot of fun.
Yeah. And Lenny, you can keep us updated. I know you were talking to Joel Hoekstra again. We're going to have Joel back on.
Yeah, Joel Hoekstra was in touch with his PR guy, and they're going to set a date, and he's going to get back to us.
Yeah, I know Steve Lynch but Steve Lynch is what, May? Is that what
well, when I spoke to Steve, he is finishing up his autobiography.
Okay.
Awesome.
And and he it has a new band called Blue Neptune. So he's waiting for everything to come together. So he asked, the end of April, early May. So he's ready to go. He's already been starting to do some interviews.
Right.
But he told me he was excited to get back with us because he said he had, the best time with us.
He's the nicest guy in the world.
He's the nicest guy. You know what?
It's such a gift.
We couldn't have him even give a fuck you. He like, I don't think he even says it.
Yeah.
He's
what a nice guy.
You know what? I actually there was somebody was posting the Charvel like anniversary and stuff, and there's a picture of all those guys. There was
Steve
Charvel, right? And Steve is standing Steve is right in front with the Charvel with the zigzag on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look at Steve. Look at his hair.
Yeah.
And he still has the hair.
Yeah.
Bastard.
I thought that was so cool. I was actually gonna cut it and send it over to him. I just didn't get a chance to do it.
Oh, you know what I was gonna bring up is that I did get the Keith Emerson tribute CD.
Which was
CD, fantastic.
DVD. Yeah. So here, we got this. Wait. It keeps going. Wait, it keeps going. It keeps
now
going.
That's a nice package.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And the CDs are nice too.
Look, man, I don't see a place to clean my weed though.
I was trying to figure out where the pot goes. It might go there. But now it's legal in New York, so we don't need cleaned weed anymore, right? Because this is going to come pre-clean now.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna. Yeah, now we got to buy boutique shit.
Yeah. So, this is actually
that is an incredible package right there.
Yeah, it's 2 CDs, 2 DVDs. The tribute. The list of players on it is absolutely all the great LA session guys. You got Lukather, Picaro. I mean, obviously our friend Mark is on it too. I got to say, he's our friend Mark, just because he came on here.
I know. He was
probably
great
sitting there like, oh, these fucking cunts won't leave me alone. Because I know that's what he would say.
Exactly.
And I love how they updated like the classic artwork off the Emerson, Lake and Palmer records.
Yeah.
Like the Turkish thing.
Bring that up. See, that's
awesome.
That's pretty good, right? Yeah, that's very updated, very nice. The CDs are very pretty too. Here, I'll bring it up a little closer so you can see it. So
you know what? Those people
stuff.
who will be watching this on YouTube in the next couple of weeks and stuff, you may not be that familiar with the LP, but you've heard the hits, and you've probably in the back of your mind, if you listen to WBAB or WNEW, WRCN, WPLR, some of the local stuff that's to Long Island and Connecticut, you will have heard so much of the stuff and not even realized it. Because it was, it was on between like a Bad Company song and Van Halen, but all of a sudden, besides Carnival Number 9, Carnival Number 9.
Yeah, Carnival 9. Yeah.
The work stuff, their take on Copeland, right? And Fanfare for the Common Man.
Yeah.
And, Oh, What a Lucky Man. And at Christmas time, if you don't hear Fall to Christmas, you don't have the radio on.
Yeah.
So,
ton of stuff.
or even Sirius radio, Spectrum or, any of those stations will absolutely play ELP.
Yep.
Deep cuts and stuff. I remember, and I was talking about this when he was on, the midnight records, right? And I heard both Works 1 and 2, staying up till midnight in my bedroom listening to those, and they were just phenomenal pieces.
There's some heavy shit on those records.
Shit. I mean, it's never. I don't any of it's ever entered my my playing, but it's certainly musically, the understanding of real heavy prog. Was from there. Yes was one thing, but ELP was another. Gentle Giant. Up till today with Dream Theater, right, where it's just this amazing musicianship and amazing stuff. But Mark was a labor of love with Keith Emerson.
Yeah, and evidently Keith had one hell of a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I just
Right, you would think he'd be like Mr. Snooty.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
I would not get that. John Lord from Deep Purple, I would think would be hysterical, right? Even though he was an incredible, musician who was older than everybody else in the band,
Right.
but apparently he was funny too.
Wow. So so we have some good stuff coming up, and
then you never know what's going to drop on our laps. And
we also are
usually
planning
happens.
what we originally started the whole channel for. We are actually going to go ahead and do it. So we figured we didn't want to piss too many people off in the beginning, but now
we don't care.
Yeah, and it's not to piss anybody off. Honestly, we
except for Sharon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea is to actually turn some people on to musicians that maybe aren't as well known, or maybe they're so well known, that like maybe we'll go a little deeper on some of the stuff they do. Like
you might forget how great these people are.
Yeah,
too.
I know we will be definitely spotlighting Ian Thornley, who
New
most of America does not know.
He's been throwing out teasers for a new record. The big record's working on. They are doing. They have a couple of live stream and drive-in stuff coming up,
but unfortunately, 99% of America doesn't know them.
No, and you know what? I was actually for a Canadian friend. I played a couple of big rec songs. He goes, why don't I know who they are? I'm going, really? I thought everybody in Canada knew them. I mean, it's not tragically hip.
Yeah, I mean, they should know them like the Canadians and Moosehead Ale.
Yeah, there you go.
Really,
Yeah, you would think, but they don't. But anyway, fuck Thornley. His big fucking bigness.
Yeah. And that Kotzen guy who made a little record with Adrian Smith that
that song Scars, that's incredible.
Yeah,
there's
lots
a
of
lot of really good songs on it. I mean, wow, there's a lot of really good songs on that.
I knew, I don't think I ever listened to Adrian Smith did when he left Iron Maiden. I think
he did a solo record.
Yeah, he did
kind
a
of
solo
bluesy,
record.
I think.
A little bluesier, and I didn't realize until going back and listening to it that it was actually pretty good.
Yeah, and he's got a good voice.
Yeah, and he has a good voice. At the time it was, why isn't he in Maiden? But
of course, I think that if I had a good voice and sang on something, I would not want Richie Kotzen coming up and singing the second fucking verse either.
Yeah.
Why?
It reminded me. Do you remember when Journey had Greg Raleigh in the band with Steve Perry?
I thought he was
Greg
a great
Raleigh
singer.
would start on a song and it'd be like, "Oh, this is good," and then Steve Perry comes in and like, "Oh, fuck."
I know. You think about it. Greg is Black Magic Woman.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, the guy's
got a black
iconic.
Magic. Yeah.
He's and they do all this. Oh yeah. We need another singer.
Yeah. Right. And then not only another singer, I mean, they bring in Steve Perry.
Right.
I mean, and Greg's got a great voice.
Greg has
you compare that to Steve Perry, I mean, in his peak, Steve Perry was probably the best male vocalist at the time.
Yeah. But of his time, he was the best.
Yeah.
He was without. I mean,
doing rock and pop. I mean, you have some great rock singers, but without hitting the metal scene, because you have some great singers in that too. But definitely up there in one of the tops. I had a friend of mine who was in the studio and said there was not second takes with Steve Perry. It was
really,
it was pretty much
wow, one take, boom.
Yeah, like a one take Jake guy. That may be wrong. That's what I was told.
Well, even if there were some things that he did one take, that's
I don't do anything one take. Actually, I can't say I don't do anything one take. The one thing I can't replicate in my own album, I can't do again. I played it great. And I go back and I try to slow it down. Like, what the fuck did I just play?
It's not that I can't do another take of it. I just couldn't do it in the first place. I don't know how to play this. the hell did I just do?
I just don't even remember what I played. And this is the worst thing is I was completely sober, and I'm completely sober now, and I don't have no idea what I was
I love that. All right, Tom, do that again.
What?
What?
What did I just do?
Yeah.
You play it back, and I'm like, it's like this. Oh, it's like that? You mean? No, it was. Are you sure it wasn't?
That's right. Everybody's going to hear what I can't replay again on May 14th because I don't know what the fuck I played. It's a little riff and hang down, and I have no idea what the fuck I played.
All right, dude. I'll have to admit this. Damned came on the other day, and I'm because I just sit here and just play along with whatever comes on. I'm like. Fuck, I don't know how it goes.
Oh, yeah, I murder that song on you. I have no idea. That's the one I just go with no pick. I go all fingers now. So.
I just had no idea because I'm sitting because before it is like pour some sugar on me. That comes on. I'm like, okay, I could do that.
Yeah.
But Damn comes on. I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah, I played that. I guess.
I did that. Hey, that's me. Yeah, because every once in a while, because I'm not paying attention, it comes on rotation. I'm like,
yeah,
I know that song.
Right?
No, I don't.
Yep. And it's funny is I found a recording that I had done probably 20 years ago of some of the stuff I did in L.A. But it was one of the songs that we had done in L.A. We had just about completed. And our engineer had a little issue with substances, and we didn't.
I don't know.
Yeah, we didn't get we didn't even get a tape copy of it before we went out of the studio that day, and I think it was beyond basic tracks. We hadn't gotten to solos. The singer did one take of her part, and we didn't go back in. We were having a little issue with band members, so we were going to go back in like 3 or 4 weeks later. We go back in, and he had another session in, and he overwrote the tape. He couldn't afford the tape at the time because issues. So I went back, like 10 years later, and recorded a part of it. I was going through just, believe it or not, I had stuff on CDs still laying around. And I go and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I'm playing it, and I just pick up the guitar, and it just came right out. I'm like, I didn't even remember the name of it or anything, and I remembered that, so it did come. And it was some weird fucking parts in there too. It wasn't like I was just playing 5 chords.
Yeah, that's a strange thing too, because shit will come to you too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I couldn't remember the name of it. I had to actually go back, and I found an old lyric sheet that had it, and I'm like, oh, I now remember this. So. If
you sometimes you just have to let it come out, like it just has to.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you start to think, you fucked.
And then there's that little part I do in Hang Down that I just played last year, and I have no idea what it is.
It'll come back to you.
No idea. I fucking hope so. Either I'm gonna have to hire somebody to transcribe it for me.
The best thing is then it's like, who played that?
Yeah, and I actually played it really well and really clean and way faster than I usually play. It was a tapping part.
Yes,
which I can do pretty good on tapping. I can't pick worth a shit, but I can tap.
I can tap. I don't know, man.
It was really good.
I try and throw it in every once in a while, and it requires way too much thought for me because immediately I start to think, all right, that's Edward. Oh, okay, that's Randy. Okay, that's Nuno. It's just like...
Yeah. Mine was, I don't know what it was. I would take. It was probably influenced by Randy, I guess.
Yeah.
That's my bigger influence. So anyway, enough about my inability to play my own shit.
So who else do we fuck you this week? I know that
Fortis
is
he's on top
you guys
of the list.
Don't know who this fuck is. Holy shit.
Yeah.
He is.
Well, we're gonna do a show just on a few of these guys because
Yeah,
we really have to play some parts that they've done so
yeah,
you can really get
some
the
of the stuff that he
appreciation.
does, some of the stuff that he would do. He had some YouTube stuff that just blow your mind. I mean, he's first off, he's in Guns N' Roses. In case you don't know, he is
He's Izzy.
he's
He's my part now.
he's Izzy,
That's because I
but
told him I didn't want to do it.
I think the only reason he's Izzy because he has black hair.
Yeah.
He is such a phenomenal musician.
Yeah.
He's been working with Richard Butler and his brother, and just produced and played, and they were supposed to go on tour for the Psychedelic Furs. He was in Richard Butler's band, Love Spit Love, and that's where I first heard of him. But I didn't realize who it was, and I had
Right.
new wave or new wave. Anyway, I'll 80s rock. Let's put it that way, because new wave doesn't really cover what the Psych Furs do.
We should probably ask Brian from Supro to get Richard on. I bet you Richard would come on if we talked to Brian. He's friends with him.
Yeah, he would probably. Richard would probably come on.
Yeah.
Just as a side note, I saw them a couple of years ago in Port Washington at the Small Theater, and his voice is his voice. When he comes up, when it's Psychedelic Furs, it sounds like the Psychedelic Furs. His voice is perfect. Anyway, so I didn't, being the snob that I am, in the 80s, the guitar players in whatever 80s rock band or 80s band like that, they weren't any good. Meanwhile, the frickin' Tears for Fears is, he's a monster. All these guys, the guy in the Fix is a monster.
Yeah.
So you don't realize, but anyway, so Richard was in that band, and then catching up later, I saw him with Thin Lizzy, and it was just like, holy shit, who is this guy? So then you start, and by that point, when I had seen the video of him with Thin, he was in Guns, and then I go back and watch some YouTube stuff of him playing, and it's just, he's phenomenal, and musical, and he's a violinist, and sober vegan, just amazing. So fuck him. Anyway, selling a shitload of gear at Chicago Music Exchange. I mean, good gear. It's not like I have these 5 chorus pedals that I've used that are all banged up that these guys sell on Reverb and stuff. This is Marshall stacks. This is classic guitars. So as soon as the sale comes up, you guys should all check this out if you want any of these pieces. And I think
it's not going to happen. I can't.
Not gonna. No, not me. I mean, maybe he's got a cable for sale.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I've watched way too many of his demos. He's the one who got me to buy that.
Right.
The Supro Boost. I mean, I have the Black Magic back there, but the Supro Boost that he, and he said, put it in front of that, and I go, well, now I got to have that, So I did. I got the Supro Boost on one of those musician friend sales. It was like quarter price or something. And now, that's the one thing that's on my pedal. Like, I use that all the time. That's on my board.
Right.
That's really my drive pedal because it's very clean.
Yeah. Well, he's a fucker anyway. So fuck him.
So, all right. Well, listen. Let's we got to save some of these fuck yous for the actual long show for it.
Yeah. So, the fuck you edition.
yeah, definitely, because I think we talk about a lot of these guys, and
we need to bring up examples so people can see.
So people can actually hear it. I can't wait to blow some people's minds with how some of these artists they don't know. Another one, Manichetti, like,
oh please,
people
have everybody that has seen him is like, wow, he's one of the greatest artists on the planet, and how many people know of him,
And if any of our people know Summertime Girls, and Summertime Girls is the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, and that's like the Y&T fans do not like that song.
Right.
Very true, because it's that was their pop era.
Right. But the guy is a monster guitar player, and is a
first 3 records.
Yeah. And is a contemporary of Eddie and Randy.
Yeah.
Asked to sing to be the lead singer in many popular bands, and he turned it down because he wanted to do his thing. Good thing, I guess.
It is a good thing because he is.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's hang it up. Lenny, you have any last parting words? You got laughed at a lot today. That's why I kept asking for you. Good to, we missed you terribly last week.
Yeah, well, I had things.
I know. You got family things to do.
Yeah, but I did miss you guys. It's glad to be back all together tonight.
Yeah.
And we're doing a hell of a job here, and let's just keep it going and
So
have fun.
Yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you all next week with Wilson Effects. And, and that's about it. And Tom, thanks for demoing this. You did all that.
Yeah, Tommy, that was great.
Yeah, let's just go.
There you go.
Anyway, with that,
tapping.
Don't quit your day job.
All right, guys. So we'll sign off. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.